What up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're in my studio, my office, my room, where I do my printing, where I do my designs, where I do my thinking, whatever you guys want to call it here. We're officially doing a video of what do we need to K-swap the Mazda Protege. I know you guys have been waiting for this video forever. I just haven't had the time. Now I'm taking the time. Now that it's cold, I can't be outside. It's just too cold. I wanted to do the video a little bit different, showing the car, walking around the car, showing you the parts, but it's impossible. It's too cold to be outside. It's like 5 below zero right now, and it's getting warmer, but it's been colder. Shout out to my boy Scott for the shirts he got me for Christmas. Shout out to him. He runs a business. Can't remember the name right now. I'll post the link, the description, so you guys can check him out. He does parts for the Mazda community people. So check him out. Let's get started. What do we need to K-swap the Mazda Protege? Engine, the whole swap, right? Engine, transmission. Believe it or not, I get messages twice a week, maybe. What transmission are you running? They don't want to know because there are different kinds of Honda K20 K series transmissions, right? They don't want to know. They want to know if I'm running the Mazda one or a Honda. So what do we need? Swap, engine, transmission, motor mounts, shifter, lines, fuel lines, power steering, AC lines, radiator, ECU, harness, and axles. One question that I get asked a lot as well is how much modifications do you need to do to get it in there, to get it swapped, to get it running? I didn't do any cutting or welding to the frame or anything. So that's a plus, right? So for the motor mounts, let me get this straight. I'm running everything from the swap from a 07 Acura TSX. Engine, transmission, shifter. Well, not everything, just that engine, transmission, shifter, and an axle. We'll get into that right now. Motor mounts. As most of you know, we offer them. We have them available. But I'm going to tell you guys a different route that you guys can take if you think that's too expensive. We have the bracket for $600. Some people think that's too expensive. Some don't mind. So I'll show you guys what's maybe a better option for you guys or a cheaper option for you guys. We got the design, which the height, the height pretty much from the Hasport mounts. So we order a Hasport motor mount K-swap from Hasport from a 96 to 2000. I'll look it up right now and see if I can share it with you guys. So what I can say is treat it as a EK, a Honda EK. Let me see if I can share the screen with you guys. There it is. Okay, Hasport. So we went with EK KK4, and that's because that transmission that I'm running, it's an EKK4. One thing I learned was that each transmission has a different bracket or a different design. So this is the options that they have. I have a 04, 08 TSX, so we went with this one. And what we grabbed from this kit, we got the height and the angles and all that, and we designed it our own, which I'll show you what my brackets are, to be able to bolt to the Mazda frame. So no modifications, no cutting, no welding. It's required. Now, if you guys, this is 700 bucks. If you guys can save $200, $250 if you guys go this route. But you guys gotta modify the back bracket to fit either the OEM Mazda mount, or you gotta modify the mount to fit the hashboard bracket. And just the height is perfect for hood clearance, ground clearance. Obviously, you have to drill some holes and bolt it down or weld them. So for those of you that are good at welding or know how to weld and want to save money, because I think you're saving like $250 if you go this route. Because my brackets are $600 plus $300 the motor mounts, which is driver and passenger only. Now, if you want to upgrade the Mazda one, the rear one, that's another 150, 200. So complete kit could be 1,000 to 1,100 bucks, but no modifications needed. Sorry, let me turn on my phone here. All right. So there's two options. Let me show you guys um my brackets. This is the driver's side. So it bolts right to the frame. The height and everything, it's right. This is the passenger. Again, it bolts right to the frame. And this is the rear one. See, this is where with mine it shifted to the right a little so I can fit the OEM Mazda mount. So you would have to modify this bracket from Hasport if you guys go that route. But again, if you're already going that route, it's because you know how to weld or you have someone that can weld and all that. So that's that for the motor mount. The shifter. The shifter I'm using 07 TSX. Cables length, it's perfect. I don't have any problem shifting. Honestly, I haven't tried 6 gear. I just haven't gone to the freeway to get it up that fast. I've been when we were tuning it, I think we only got 3rd gear, maybe 4th. Which I've been 5th gear, but not 6th. So we'll get to that hopefully this summer. So the shifter just again regular. I didn't do any cutting. Let me see if I can share this again. I didn't do any cutting because I did a plate, a 1-inch plate. I believe it's like a 1-inch. So where it just sits and it bolts to the Mazda, where the Mazda bolts. So right there, all four. And then the shifter, the TSX bolts here. It raised it up like 1 inch, which I don't have no problem. For me, it's perfect, especially since I'm tall. But you guys can grind down the bolts that it has there and just flush and sit the RXX or TSX or whatever shifter you're using, and just drill new holes and call it good. So that's it for the shifter and that. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's already with the mounts, it's already sitting perfect position. You already have the shifter. For the lines, power steering. I went with the '07 TSX line. I took it to a shop where they had a where the pump is. They had to bend it down 45 degrees because it's kind of straight up and it was hitting the hood. So I took it to the shop and I paid like 45 bucks, 50 bucks for that. And then the AC lines. So I went with, well, before the AC, let's go with condenser and radiator. I had to go with the P5 radiator because the MSP one sits with the inlet or outlet on the top hose sits right in front of the throttle body. So I couldn't use it. I mean, I could have moved it a little bit to the right, to the left, and make it work, but I didn't want to cut anything. I didn't want to modify anything. Um, for people to see that it can get done without modifications, right? So I ended up going with a P5 aluminum radiator from eBay. I think I paid like 130, 140, and it's working great. So I had to use a P5 AC condenser since P5s are longer than the MSP. I had to modify the line that goes from the condenser to the compressor because I'm using the TSX compressor. The other one that goes to the can't remember the name right now. That one's OEM. That one fits perfect. So for the fuel lines, OEM fits as well. I ended up upgrading mine, but that was because I had the time and all that. But OEM fits. You just have to give the rail, fuel rail, and the fuel. Shoot, I can't think. Pressure regulator connect together and get the inlet outlet to fit the OEM hose or line, and that's it. So you guys can use the OEM lines, no modifications there or anything. For the harness or harness and ECU, I'm using Haltech. So I got a buddy that did my harness. We did an external or a separate fuse box just because we wanted it. We didn't know if we needed the OEM Mazda ECU to control accessories, windows, lights, turn signals, and all that. So you don't need the ECU to control none of that. So we find that out, and so that's why we went with a separate fuse box that has uh, fuel pump relay, uh, the starter, and all that fuses with that. And that was the only reason why we went with the separate fuse box. With the harness or with the cluster, you guys can use the OEM cluster, especially if you have ABS. The ABS controls the whole cluster. I had a hard time finding that out. Shout out to everyone that actually helped me out. Brian, some people from the group chats that I'm in, um, they all helped out. So thank you guys. But we finally got it running, reading everything, speed, RPM. I haven't connected the temp gauge yet, so we don't know about that one, but I'm sure it will work. Just because ABS controls all your cluster, so you have to have your ABS connected in order for your cluster to work. Other than that, just connect your cluster and then you connect 3 wires, which is your ignition and tag and speed. That's all I have connected to my dash harness, honestly. So it's that simple. That's simple too. You guys can use, I'm sure K Pro has the same outputs for ignition, um, speed, and all that as another standalone fuel tank and all those. I'm sure they'll work fine. You just gotta find the right wiring, schematics, and all that, and make it work. But I'm positive all of that will work. Even a Honda, I'm sure you guys can make that work. So that's a cheaper option too. K Pro. Um, so harness ECU, that's what I'm doing. I have my notes here. Let's see. Inner shaft, the intermediate shaft. I'm using a O2 RX RSX type S or type R. I believe they're the same. Manual though. It can be automatic. They're different. They're different. I guess one's taller than the other one. They're different. They will not work. Or the automatic will not work. Um, fuel pump. I'm using OEM Mazda. It worked great. I don't have any problems turning it on or anything. So that's good. And then we get to what you guys been waiting for, asking and all that. Axles. Hopefully, hopefully this video is not too long. I'm not keeping track. So hopefully I don't go hour, 2 hours into this. I try to make it as quick as possible and answer all the questions that I have gotten. Um, so let's get into the axles. Axles for one thing I gotta tell you guys is you guys gotta have OEM Mazda Speed Protege MSP axles. Even though they share the same length and all that part numbers maybe with a P5, the shaft is different diameter. So in order for you to make it work super easy, you have to have MSP OEM axles and OEM of this other two that I'm gonna mention right now. So for the passenger, I'm using a 97 Acura Integra. Either, let me see, I want to see. I want to see what side that transmission is. So there it is. So it looks like that's 97. So it looks like that transmission is on the passenger side. So we need passenger side. We need the driver side. Okay. So for let me see what this tells us. Driver, yes. So for the passenger, I'm using a 97 Acura Integra driver CV axle. Well, you have to swap the outer joint. So from the Acura, you have to swap the outer joint to the Mazda one. And if you have OEM axles from both cars, they're the same diameter, everything. So it will swap out super easy. If you know how to take apart an axle, you have it in 15 minutes. So you gotta swap out the outer joint just because the thread side, the thread little shaft right there, it's not long enough to go all the way through to bolt. So you have to swap that out. Now there's other options. If you get them from internet online, eBay and all those, you can swap out the bearings. You can swap out the whole joint. Um, so you guys can swap out the bearings and make it work with whatever, because the dimension of the diameter of the axle, it's different. Let me see. Okay, right here. So this right here, if you have different diameter of shaft, it's not going to go through, or it's going to be too loose. So you have to have the right shaft. You can swap out. Again, you can play around and find something that will work. But if you have OEM axles, it's direct swap, just like that. So passenger, I'm using a 97 Acura Integra driver side. Okay. And then, yes. And then for the driver side, I'm using passenger. I'm using the passenger side CV axle from an 07 Acura TSX. Same thing, you gotta swap out the joints, but in this case you gotta swap out the inner joint, just because the passenger on the TSX is the female and you need the male. So you gotta swap out the inner joint for a male Acura TSX or Integra, they're the same for a male. The outer joint, same thing, you gotta swap it out for the Mazda MSP. Now, again, for the driver, 07 Acura TSX passenger side CV axle. Swap out both joints. The male for, or the female for the male, the inner joint, and the outer for the Mazda for the MSP. It's super simple. You guys can take it to a shop and they can do it for you. I took mine once to get one set done, and I think I paid about $80. And one of the reasons why I took it there is because I was just so frustrated. I went with, I spent about $1,000 on axles because I couldn't figure it out. I think I told my wife about 5, 6 times that I was done. I was done with the swap. I wanted to get rid of it, give it away, sell it. I was just done. And I think what got me the most was, there's people out there that have done this swap and they don't want to give any information out, you know? So every time I had an issue with the axle, that came to mind. Like, there's someone out there that has done this swap and they don't want to give any information out. And my wife brought it up. Hey, maybe you shouldn't say any information so they can struggle. We don't think like that. We're different. So here we are doing this. But yeah, you guys can take it to a shop and just tell them, hey, I need this to swap. This is what I'm doing. This is what I need here and there. They should be able to figure it out, and that shouldn't be expensive. I tried working with a company to get a set done, so I just have them ready. But they want they don't want too much. It's not a lot of money, but it's the minimum they can do. It's 50 sets. and that's a lot of sets for me to get rid of. So I decided to bring all this information out for you guys to make it happen. You know, I don't want you guys to leave it to the side just because you guys can figure out the axles. I already had all the headache, many nights without sleep. Um, just thinking about the axles. You know, I broke maybe 7 pairs trying to figure out. I got a set from Canada to try to make it work from JP. Maybe you guys know who I'm talking about. Those people from the Mazda Facebook groups, you guys know who I'm talking about. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for mentioning all these names. But shout out to him. He sent me some and they were wrong. He sent me the ones I asked for. Once I had them, I learned they were wrong. They're different from a P5 and MSP. They're different diameter, the shaft. So that was a no good on that. And then other ones, I think with auto parts, I returned like maybe 10 sets as well. Bottom, just thinking about it, okay, doing my research, this might work. Let's go buy them, test them. Nope, return them in an hour, half an hour. Hey, this is not what I need. And they told me, some stores told me, hey, what are you doing? How come you're bringing? They thought I was swapping out the used ones and for the new ones and returning the used ones. So I had to explain a couple times what I was doing and trying to figure out. But finally, we got it running, moving. So that's good. Hopefully I answer all your guys' questions. I don't want to make it too long. I don't know how much I'm into this video. Hopefully not long, so I don't bore you guys. But if you guys have any questions or you guys want to buy my brackets, you know, we have them available again. We have them available. You can comment below, email me, message me on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Calls, I don't do calls no more because I was giving out when I brought my radiator at first. Okay, I gave out my number to a couple people and we had some problems there. So no calls for now. But email, comments, message, messenger, Instagram, Facebook, and I feel like I answered all your guys' questions. I'll be doing another video talking about how much I spent on this swap. I'm not gonna be too honest about how much I spent on this, but what parts cost right now and how much I had to spend if I went that route. Some parts I got them for free, other parts I had to sell other parts to make money for those parts. So I don't know if that counts as spending the money. But I'll be doing another video talking about that and maybe answering other questions that I didn't answer on this video and that you guys have. I will please ask for you guys to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing other builds, might be, I don't know, simple or something that's not necessary, but it just gives me something to do. Right? So shout out to everyone. Again, like, share, subscribe with friends, families, or whoever that has a Mazda. You might think they want to listen to this long ass video. Thank you guys.